English as a second language changed my life. Growing up in a small village nestled in the rolling hills of a distant land, my world was confined to the familiar dialects spoken by my family, friends, and neighbors. Life was simple but limited. Education, though respected, was often overshadowed by the pressing demands of daily survival. For years, I never imagined that learning a language foreign to me, English, would become the gateway to a life I had never dared to dream of. As a child, I would sit on the rugged stone steps outside my home and watch the planes streak across the sky, wondering what lay beyond the clouds. Travelers passing through the village spoke in languages I couldn't understand. Their laughter, gestures, and books filled me with a curiosity that burned deep within. However, the prospect of learning another language seemed impossible. One day, a visitor arrived in our village, a young teacher named Mr. Roy. He was sent by a government initiative to bring education to remote communities. Unlike our local teachers, Mr. Roy spoke fluent English. His words rolled off his tongue like music, smooth and rhythmic. I was mesmerized. Mr. Roy gathered the village children and began teaching us basic English phrases. At first, it felt strange to twist my tongue around foreign words like, hello, thank you, and how are you? My classmates laughed when I mispronounced something, but I didn't let it deter me. Each day, I practiced harder, staying up late at night with a small lantern to memorize words and phrases from the worn textbook Mr. Roy had given us. "What's the point of learning English?" one of my friends asked. "We'll never leave this village." But I couldn't shake the feeling that learning this language was more than just a school subject. Felt like a bridge, a way to connect with the world beyond the hills. Months turned into years. By the time I turned 15, I had become fluent in conversational English, thanks to Mr. Roy's persistent encouragement and guidance. "You have a gift," he told me one day. "Use it wisely." That gift opened the first of many doors. When a small charity organization visited the village, they were astonished to find someone who could speak English fluently. They offered me a scholarship to study in the city. It was a chance I couldn't refuse, though it meant leaving my family and the only home I had ever known. The transition to city life was overwhelming. The streets buzzed with energy, cars honked incessantly, and skyscrapers loomed overhead. My fellow students came from affluent backgrounds and spoke English with ease. First, I felt out of place. My rural accent and modest upbringing made me the subject of subtle jokes and patronizing smiles. But I refused to let their judgments break me. I poured my energy into my studies, excelling in English literature and public speaking. I found solace in books, devouring works by authors like Jane Austen, Mark Twain, and Maya Angelou. Their stories taught me not only the intricacies of the language, but also the universality of human struggles and triumphs. One day, an opportunity arose to participate in an inter-school debate competition. The theme was "The Power of Language in Transforming Lives." I hesitated at first, doubting my ability to stand before a crowd of fluent English speakers. But then I remembered Mr. Roy's words, "Use your gift wisely." I stepped onto the stage, my heart pounding. As I began speaking, I shared my journey, how learning English had given me the courage to dream beyond the confines of my village, how it had brought me to the city, and how it had become a tool for bridging gaps between different worlds. By the time I finished, the auditorium erupted in applause. Winning that competition was a turning point. It wasn't just the trophy I held in my hands that mattered. It was the realization that language is not merely a means of communication. It is a force that can dismantle barriers, build connections and change lives. Years later, armed with a degree in English literature and a burning desire to make a difference, I returned to my village. The world I had left behind seemed untouched by time, but I had changed. I wasn't there to show off my achievements. I was there to pay forward the gift that had transformed my life. I started a small language school in the heart of the village, teaching children and adults alike. It wasn't just about learning English. It was about empowering them to dream bigger, to see beyond their immediate circumstances, and to believe in their potential. One of my students, a shy girl named Artie, reminded me of my younger self. She struggled at first, stumbling over words and doubting her abilities. But I saw the same spark in her eyes that Mr. Roy had once seen in mine. With encouragement and persistence, Artie blossomed. She went on to become a teacher herself, carrying the torch forward. Today, as I stand before a group of eager students, I often reflect on how far I've come. English, once a foreign and intimidating language, became my passport to a world of opportunities. It taught me the value of resilience, the importance of education, and the power of believing in oneself. The moral of my story is simple yet profound. Knowledge is a gift, and language is one of its most powerful forms. It has the ability to transform lives, bridge divides, and create endless possibilities. English changed my life, not because it made me smarter or more capable, but because it opened doors I never knew existed. It connected me to the world, and in turn I am now able to help others find their own paths. What began as a simple lesson in a small village has grown into a ripple of change.